Okay, let's unpack this.
We have a really fascinating stack of material today, all of it drilling down into what our sources are calling the deep architecture of the daily routine.
And these aren't just, motivational guides.
Not at all. This is more of a comparative analysis.
Yeah.
We get to see the actual structured rhythms used by different people from, say, a focused student to a professional in a high-demand job.
Right. And our mission today is, well, it's pretty ambitious. We're not just defining a daily routine as a simple schedule.
No, we're looking at it as the foundational rhythm, the
Yeah.
thing that really dictates whether you feel reactive or, proactive.
Exactly. Our goal for you, the learner, is to pull out those high leverage habits. The ones that don't just add hours to your day, but actually give you that profound feeling of being balanced and in control of your energy.
And that distinction is just so crucial. The sources make it really clear that an effective routine is. It's less about maximizing your output.
It's more about intelligent energy management.
Yes, the purpose is just as much about self-care, about strategic relaxation, and making sure you're recharging effectively across the whole day.
Okay, exactly. So let's jump right in. Let's talk about the starting pistol of the day, what the sources are calling morning momentum.
This is the critical phase that sets the entire tone.
And what stands out right away is how adaptable the whole system is.
It is. The sources show this by contrasting our two main profiles. We have the student who wakes up at 7 a.m. to get in some deep work.
And then the early professional up at 6:30 a.m. for early meetings.
The times differ, but the intentionality of that very first action, it's identical.
It's that ritualized first win, right? For the professional, the immediate priority is physical. It's drinking a full glass of water.
And they do this specifically to address dehydration after sleeping. The sources actually note this can spike cortisol levels and impair cognitive function before you've even had coffee.
So it's not just about hydration.
No, it's about preloading your cognitive resources.
Hmm.
Now contrast that with the student's approach, which is called the gentle start.
Okay.
They intentionally spend a few minutes stretching, doing some deep breathing, before their feet even hit the floor.
So it's not just about loosening muscles.
Not at all. The sources frame it as actively shifting the nervous system out of that deep inertia of sleep and into a state of um, alert calm.
So whether it's immediate internal hydration or this sort of external body movement, the routine always starts with the body. Physical restoration comes first.
It does, before the mental demands of the day are even allowed to crowd in. And this continues with the next step, brushing teeth, washing your face.
That simple ritual.
That simple repeated ritual. It acts as a potent cue. The sources describe it as an instant shift, separating the passive state of sleep from the active state of being awake.
Basically telling your brain, okay, the operational day has now officially started.
Precise.
But hold on, for someone with a demanding commute or, kids, how realistic is that 6.3 start with a full ritual? Did the sources talk about time compression?
They absolutely did. And this is where that adaptability is key. The core finding seems to be that the sequence matters more than the actual duration.
Ah, okay.
So for the professional, that physical prep, the water, the wash is followed immediately by mental prep.
Yeah.
Reviewing emails, checking the to-do
An
list.
organized start.
Exactly. They're trying to minimize decision fatigue later on, and this ties right into fueling. The student, who might have lighter classes in the morning, goes for a light breakfast, maybe oatmeal.
But the professional, they need sustained energy for high-stakes meetings.
Right, so they're having a heartier, protein-rich meal. Eggs or a dense smoothie. What's fascinating is this immediate focus on organization and physical prep before any real mental work begins.
They're fueled, hydrated, and they know the day's agenda before they've even tackled a single demanding task.
Yes, it guarantees that when they do engage with work, they already have the physical resources and the mental map they need.
It's not just getting ready for the day. It's like you're assembling the resources to dominate the day right from the start.
That's a perfect way to put it.
Here's where it gets really interesting. We're moving into what our sources call the afternoon power strategy. This is all about how to navigate those busiest hours and, more importantly, how to avoid that massive energy crash that derails so many people.
Yes, the afternoon. The sources all identify it as the time for peak focus. For the student, that's deep study. For the professional, critical project work.
But it's also when the body naturally hits its lowest point.
The infamous mid-afternoon energy slump.
Exactly. So what's the defense against that?
It's all about strategic breaks. Tapping into our body's natural rhythms. Both of them emphasize taking short breaks, not just when they feel tired, but proactively.
Right. To stretch, move around, grab a smart snack, all to recharge.
And these are not passive breaks. They are actively seeking a mental reset. The professional, for example, makes a point to step away from their desk completely for lunch.
Which is a powerful cognitive technique.
It is. It prevents what researchers call task residue, that mental carryover from the morning, which would otherwise stop you from truly decompressing.
So lunch is less about hunger and more about creating a boundary.
A very clear boundary between the morning's intensity and the afternoon's focus. And their shared rule for lunch is vital. Avoid anything that would lead to that feeling of being sluggish.
That's the key word, sluggish, that feeling of just being slow and having no energy.
They are hyper-aware of foods that spike your blood sugar only to have you crash 20 minutes later.
But let me play devil's advocate here. What if you have a really physically demanding morning? Does that light food only rule still apply?
That's a great question. The sources suggest the principle is sustained energy, not necessarily a low quantity of food. So the student might have a salad or a simple sandwich. But the professional, knowing they need lasting fuel to avoid that mid-afternoon energy slump, might choose something like a quinoa salad or a turkey sandwich.
Nutrient-dense meals.
Exactly. Designed for a slow, steady release of energy. The goal is to provide fuel without diverting a ton of energy to digestion.
It's intelligent nutrition designed to recharge the system, to help you regain energy without that heavy sedative effect.
And once they're refueled, they pivot immediately to their most challenging tasks. The strategy is to tackle the bigger assignments right after lunch, when that renewed energy is highest.
And I love the informal language the sources use here. They aim to knock out these important tasks.
Right, to complete them efficiently while that energy dividend is still high. If you connect this to the bigger picture, the whole afternoon strategy is just a masterclass in micromanaging your energy levels.
It really is. It's all about these brief mental resets and optimal nutrition, rather than that flawed strategy of just pushing through exhaustion.
Pushing through until you hit burnout.
It raises such an important question for you, listening at home. How much of that dreaded afternoon drop is really just a failure of setting boundaries and making good choices around, say, 12:30 p.m.?
It sounds almost entirely preventable.
It does.
It is. If you treat your energy as a finite resource that needs scheduled maintenance, instead of an infinite supply that you only refill when it hits empty.
Let's transition now to the final part of the day. The evening transition, the art of winding down. This is where we shift from proactive management to intentional self-care.
Yes, this section is all about that transition from a demanding, high-focused day back into a state of relaxation and preparing for quality, deep sleep. The emphasis shifts completely to what the sources call de-stressing, learning how to unwind.
And the activities are deliberately low intensity. We see things like listening to music, a short walk, maybe some light stretching.
Nothing is a mental challenge. It's all sensory and physical release. Dinner is usually around 7 p.m., and it's simple but satisfying.
Things like grilled salmon with veggies, stir fry, pasta.
Again, you see the consistency. Nothing overly complex or rich that would burden the digestive system right before the body needs to shift into sleep prep.
But the critical moment, the psychological one, happens after dinner, after all the day's obligations are done. It's that routine of brushing teeth and washing the face again.
Yes. Our sources describe this feeling like pressing the reset button.
That phrase, reset button, is so good. It's more than a metaphor.
It is. It's a form of stimulus control. By repeating the morning's cleansing ritual, you are physically creating a boundary. You are literally washing off the residue and stress of the workday.
Signaling to your brain that the role of busy professional or student is over for the night.
And it's time to shift into relaxation mode.
That intentional physical line between the productive day and the restful night, it's genius. It gets rid of that ambiguity that keeps us mentally tethered to our work.
And once that reset is established, the focus turns completely to sleep hygiene. The most consistent mandatory habit for both profiles is active screen avoidance before bed.
They're replacing that mentally stimulating blue light and constant information flow with alternatives that help the process of winding down.
Winding down, gradually slowing down and preparing for sleep.
Right. And their preferred alternatives. Reading a physical book, maybe enjoying a cup of caffeine-free herbal tea.
The sources are pretty specific here. The reading should be non-work related. The replacement activity must be non-stimulating.
But is a 10 p.m. bedtime realistic for everyone? Does the consistency matter more than the amount of sleep?
The sources strongly suggest that consistency is the most important variable. Sticking to a consistent bedtime, whether it's 10:00 or 10:03, it teaches your body to regulate its circadian rhythm
And the payoff is feeling much better the next day.
repeatedly.
Yeah.
The exact time is less important than the reliability of that whole transition sequence. What's so fascinating is just the deliberate effort to enforce these strict boundaries between day and night through such simple, repeatable rituals.
Like the evening wash up and avoiding screens, this proactive winding down is so critical for mental health.
Absolutely. The organization that starts the morning has to be matched by the systematic de-escalation that ends the night. The routine isn't just about what you do. It's about what you do to separate yourself from the day.
So, what does this all mean?
It means the daily routine shouldn't be seen as this restrictive cage, but more as a supportive, flexible framework. The best routines structure the entire 24-hour cycle around intentional energy management and these clear psychological boundaries.
Right, we saw three critical phases. Morning momentum, all about physical and mental prep, hydration, checking your schedule.
Then the afternoon power strategy, which manages energy with nutrient-dense lunches and mandated breaks to avoid that slump.
And finally, the evening transition, using those simple rituals like the reset button, wash up, and screen avoidance for real self-care and proper rest.
The key takeaway for you, the learner, is that your routine has to be bespoke. It has to work for you to maintain organization and balance. And remember, the sources focus just as intensely on relaxation and recharging as they did on productivity.
That balance is the true source of daily control.
It really is.
So we've seen how a specific bedtime can ensure a full night's sleep. We've seen how hydration starts the day strong by managing cortisol. If consistency and intention are so vital for the start and end of your day, think about this. What single non-negotiable 5-minute element, like that first glass of water or the evening stretch, holds the most surprising power over your overall feeling of daily control?
Something small, simple, and repeatable that anchors your entire rhythm.
Start small, prioritize those anchors, and keep building those healthy habits. We'll see you next time on The Deep Dive.